I was 12 the first time I heard the house whisper. My family had just moved into an old Victorian home at the edge of town. It was the kind of place you'd expect to be haunted. Towering spires, cracked wooden floors, and walls that creaked when no one was touching them. But my parents got it cheap, and cheap was all we could afford. The first few nights were normal, just the usual sounds of an old house settling. But then, I started hearing the whispers. It wasn't like the wind or the hum of the pipes, it was deliberate. Low voices murmuring just beneath the surface of silence. At first, I thought it was my parents talking late at night, but when I crept to their room, they were sound asleep. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I pressed my ear to the walls. "We see you." I jerked back, heart hammering. The voice was distant but unmistakable. I didn't tell my parents. They already thought I was too imaginative for my own good. Instead, I told my sister Ellie. She was only 6, but she was fearless in the way little kids are. She didn't believe me at first, so I made her press her ear to the wall. She frowned. Then her face went pale. "What did you hear?" I asked. She shook her head. "It was a girl. She said she's trapped." I didn't sleep that night. The next day we searched the house. The attic was mostly empty, just old furniture covered in sheets. But Ellie found something, scratched into the wooden floorboards beneath the dust. "Help me!" The scratching marks were deep, desperate. Someone had carved those words with their fingernails. Ellie wouldn't stop staring at it. What if she's still here? I didn't know what to say. That night, the whispering got worse. It wasn't just in the walls anymore. It was inside my head, murmuring things I couldn't understand. And then, the closet door creaked open on its own. A girl stood there. Her hair hung in damp strands over her face, her skin pale and peeling. Her fingers were broken, bent at unnatural angles, and when she spoke, her voice was the whisper from the walls. "You heard me." I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. "I need your help," she whispered. "He won't let me leave." "Who?" I managed to choke out. Her head snapped toward the attic. "The man in the walls." A cold dread crept over me. "What do you mean?" Her breath shuddered. "He's watching, right now." And then she was gone. The next day, I convinced Ellie to help me search the attic again. We ripped up the old floorboards. Underneath, we found bones. Small, child-sized. And then we heard it. A deep, rumbling breath. Something was in the walls. Ellie screamed as the boards beneath her feet buckled. Hands, long, gnarled fingers, shot out of the gaps, grabbing at her legs. I pulled her back just in time, and we ran. The house moaned around us, the whispers turning into wails. That night, we refused to sleep in our rooms. Mom and Dad were angry, but we didn't care. We stayed in the living room with the lights on. Sometime past midnight, we heard footsteps. Slow, dragging, coming down from the attic. We didn't move. Didn't breathe. The footsteps stopped outside the living room door. A low, rasping whisper seeped through the wood. "You should have left me alone!" The door creaked open, and everything went black. The next morning, the house was empty. No furniture, no dust, no sign that anyone had ever lived there, except for the words scratched into the floor. "Help me! We never found our parents." And the house was never there again.